I don't know if you can see that, can you? Probably my focusing's out. Anyway, this is Germinal by Emile Zola. I was inspired to make this video because I see Bull Hansen is suggesting that people read more books. And I think they should read more books, because books are a tremendous way of learning things, increasing your vocabulary, but also experiencing things, in my case mainly from history, which I find very interesting. Now this book is from Everyman's Library, and you can get a hardback version of these classics for £10. And to me, the construction of a book is really important, because paperback books, they yellow and they warp and they're crap. So always buy a hardback book, because they last forever and they're much nicer to read. The paper's nicer, they're just easier to read, you get a bigger text. I mean, they're really nice. Anyway, what's it about? What's it about is Germinal. The French revolutionaries changed the names of the months of the calendar. And Germinal is from germinate. It's a month, sort of March and April, that they renamed Germinal, the birth of things springing up and germinating from the land. And it's about the miners' strike of around 1885. And I watched the movie after I'd read the book, and I listened to the audiobook as well. The audiobook is good because you don't have to, it's quicker, it doesn't take as long as reading. I watched the movie with Gerard Depardieu, 2.5-hour movie. The movie to me didn't quite reflect the book. The book is incredibly dark, it's almost gothic in its nature. Everything's black and bleak and dank and despairing. It's like Thomas Hardy on steroids. It's like Jude the Obscure, a sort of extreme version of Jude the Obscure, which I also recommend you read. Thomas Hardy is a superb writer. Anyway, it's 500 pages long. In the old days, books were meant to last you a year. They were being read out a chapter at a time, maybe to groups of people who maybe couldn't read, by someone who could read. The movie just didn't get there. The first half of the movie is kind of jokey. Depardieu can't help playing the clown. He's always this kind of larger-than-life character. Second half of the movie turns pretty dark, pretty violent, and it's much more like the book, but it's hard to compress a 500-word epic into a movie. You've got to condense it massively, and you lose some of the atmosphere of the book when you make the movie. What you hear here is the little kids, age of from 6 up to old people, getting up at 4 a.m, working in the mine in appalling conditions. Horses going down the mine, terrified when they're young, and never leaving the mine. What happens is that the people who own the mine during the strike decide to just let the miners starve, because they know eventually they'll have to go back to work or they're all going to die. They're starving anyway because they get paid so little. And in the end, it comes down to the military's called in and they start shooting the miners. People get killed, and in the end, they all have to go back to work. And it just shows you the difference between the capital, Marx's capital class, the people who own things, who are living in extreme luxury, really. Their only worry is about what they're having for dinner, and they've got servants, and they have banquets every night. And the miners who have to beg for a loaf of bread halfway through the month because they've run out of money and they've run out of food. Their kids are disabled, there's no real medical attention, and at the age of 40 they're not allowed to work down the pit anymore because they're past it. They just physically can't do the work. And it gives you a very good feeling of how things were in the past, and just how incredibly lucky people are today. Even the poorest people today have a standard of living way beyond these working people who were working 10 hours a day and who are coughing up black tar from the lungs in their 30s. So, but beautifully written, very interesting glimpse of how life used to be. And I fully recommend that you read Germinal by Emile Zola and all the other classics. Read Gogol, read Tolstoy, read Lemonov, Turgenev, Camus, Sartre, Thomas Mann. Usually I like short books like Thomas Mann, Death in Venice, or Voltaire's Candide. They're only 100 pages, very, very condensed, high quality stuff. Nabokov's Lolita, all this stuff is. But this is more like Dickens. It's a long book. My criticism of this and Balzac and maybe Tolstoy is the number of characters. There are hundreds of characters with French names, and you've no idea really until you watch the movie who all these people are, because you get completely confused because there are so many characters. But there we are, that's Germinal by Emile Zola.